Superman. It seems like a lot of
Finally.
people have gone to the theaters and already seen it. What, the last time I checked, 22.5
Yeah,
million?
no, 55 million and counting now. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
It's officially counting the Thursday and Friday. It's at 55 plus million, well on its way to over 100
Ooh.
million domestically, over 200 million worldwide for the opening. So yeah, it's soaring. No pun intended, but it is. Look up, absolutely look up because it's flying, man.
That's for sure. And I wanted to do a nice little like minute review of, or at least my personal review of Superman. And I know we're gonna do the same thing for you, even though yours will probably be a little longer than a minute. But hey, it's okay, it's fine. But I took this seriously. I wrote it down
Well,
and
see, you
everything.
wrote it down. That's why.
Yeah.
See, but I gotta, you know me. This is like so personal to me, so I have to go from the cuff. But I can't wait to hear what you have. I can't. Let's
Of
go.
course, of course. First off, first things first, Superman. Oh my goodness. Of course, everybody knows, and I've made it very vocal on this podcast. I wasn't the biggest Superman fan, so to come into this film, I really didn't know what to expect. I loved James Gunn. I loved what he did, obviously, with Marvel and with the Suicide Squad on the DC side of things. But I think this might be the most important DC movie in over a decade. And I personally believe that it delivers. Now, if you guys follow my Letterboxd page or my TikTok page, you know how I break down my reviews. We're going to get points in story, cinematography, acting, pacing, and feeling after I leave the theater. So the story, I gave it a point. Of course, right out of the gate, the story moves so fast and it barely lets up through the entire freaking film.
Mm.
It's an action meets politics. If you go to the other side of the superhero genre, it's very much along the same tone and storyline as Captain America Brave New World. And honestly, it's one of the best DC storylines in the last 10 or 15 years, in my opinion. And high stakes, constant engagement, and this could be the movie that saves the DCU. So that is very exciting. And when it comes to the cinematography, I also give it another point. James Gunn brought the color back to the DCU with an epic monster battles that honestly were super freaking stunning. And then if we have the Fortress of Solitude, which was my favorite cinematic part of the entire film. And then, I mean, who didn't love that final flying hug with Lois? That almost brought me to tears. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was perfect eye candy in the best way. Acting gets another point because David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan nailed, in my opinion, Lois and Clark's dynamic. You felt the humanity. You felt, especially during the apartment interview scene, that's by far my favorite scene in the entire movie because I feel like it was 5 to 8 minutes of them just going at each other, back and forth, back and forth. And David Superman, I definitely feel like it was pure hearted, it was believable and real. But I do wish that we had a little bit more of nerdy Clark. We got one scene in particular in the beginning, and that's kind of all we got of Clark. So I wish we did get to see a little bit more of that. But I do give the acting a point. The pacing, like I said, it's fast. At some points, it feels almost too fast, but no dull moments throughout the entire thing. I just wish they slowed it down a little bit so it let things breathe a little bit more, but that wasn't enough to take any points away. So I gave that one another point. And then the feeling overall when I walked out of the theater, I absolutely loved it. Already planning a second watch because my wife, your daughter, has not seen it yet, and
Yeah.
she made me promise that I would take her back to the theater to see it. So I'm super excited to go back and watch it one more time. And this movie might have just reignited DC fans' hope for this cinematic universe. Overall, this is my first film of the year to earn a 5 out of 5. I don't care what else says. This is a great, phenomenal, fun, fantastic driven story. So yeah, I loved Superman. This is my Superman now.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
A
All right.
lot
All
to
right.
unpack there. A
No,
lot to
no,
unpack. Like I said, I
but
wanted it to be in a written form, so I had
you
my places all in one.
But you saw me nod a couple of times.
I
So I
did.
cannot give this 5 out of 5 stars. I
Well, I know
cannot
you
give
can't.
this
Yeah.
a 10 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 or 8.5 solid out of 10 or 4 out of 5 stars. And the reason being is because of a couple of the things that you said that I wholeheartedly agree with. Let me first start by saying that John Papsidera is probably the most significant casting director in the past 20 years. This was spot on casting, and which I think was crucial. If you're going to relaunch the DCU, specifically Superman, with the icon that Christopher Reeve still is, it's an almost impossible task. And you would hear James Gunn himself say that. So John Papsidera, under unbelievable pressure, nailed it. Every single person in this cast fit perfectly. I think that was number one, outstanding. Number two, I'm with you. The look, the feel, the aesthetic, the color of the film, every bit of it I loved. This is what we expect Superman to be. Bright, hopeful, cheery, even in the darkest of moments. You have that gleam of light, that hope. It nails that. It's spot on. I think the acting, without doubt, goes hand in hand with what I said about the casting. Phenomenal.